This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. I see. The marriage between your mother and your father was greatly opposed by the family. Aunt Jo shook her head and sighed. My mother is too stubborn, and the clan rules are very strict. If that was not the case, Wanbai could have used her exceptional talent and her mother's love for her to negotiate with her. My guess is that she was worried that if the negotiation failed, mother would be wary of her, and she wouldn't be able to get Mu Qianlingyu. That's why she sacrificed her life in exchange for your health. Woo-woo. Mei Dong was already unable to speak. Other than crying, she kept crying. She was completely in tears. Ninth Aunt, Yunxiao said. Since we've found the key, why don't you open this gate and let us all see it? And let Dong pay respects to her parents. Mei Dong's body trembled, and only then did she stop crying. Her eyes swelled up like peaches in such a short time as she looked at the door, anxiously hoping to pass through. All right, Aunt Jo said, slightly worried. This door has not been opened since my mother passed away. She held the jade in her palm and gently separated her hands. A ray of light flowed out and the whole jade slowly rose up and flew to the front of the door under her chanting. Aunt Jo made a hand seal and a green light shot out of the jade tablet and into the door. The light gradually radiated from the door, forming the shape of snowflakes. The snowflakes slowly enlarged, and the edges and corners of the snowflakes began to rotate. A rumbling sound came from afar. It's been more than 10 years. I've finally heard this voice again. Aunt Jo was so excited that she couldn't control herself. She stared at the door that had opened quietly without blinking, and a strange feeling floated out from inside. What a dense spiritual energy. What kind of space is this wooding river in? Such a dense spiritual energy fluctuation is no less than that of Yanwu. Yunxiao was shocked, and his eyes flickered as if he was thinking about something. Boom. The door then opened completely, and a warm light flickered inside like a gem. Everyone, welcome to the Wooding River. You're the first group of outsiders to visit the Wooding River in the Mei family's thousands of years. Aunt Jo was overjoyed. Although it was inappropriate to bring outsiders in, it was difficult to suppress the joy in her heart. Moreover, she could not refuse the requests of everyone. Mother. Mei Dong shouted in grief and rushed in, crying. Everyone looked at each other, shook their heads, and sighed. They followed Ninth Aunt in one by one. The scene in front of them immediately shocked everyone. The door was opened on a cliff, and in front of them was a sea of clouds. To be more precise, it was a sea of spiritual energy. Below them, the spiritual energy was flowing like a stream. Just looking at it was refreshing and indescribably comfortable. Heavens! Li Feiyu exclaimed in shock. How could it be possible in such an environment with such powerful spiritual qi? The Mei family has never heard of any peerless experts in the past thousands of years, but it's impossible that they couldn't be nurtured in such an environment. No, Yunxiao said with a frown. There seems to be a problem with this spirit qi. Aunt Jo was shocked, and her eyes were filled with shock. Young Master Yun, you're really amazing. You've discovered the situation so quickly. Her eyes were bitter as she said, the spiritual qi here contains something different. The ancestors of the Mei family have studied it for a long time before they found the root of it. There is a poison called xiaopei in the spiritual qi. Xiaopei? There are countless poisons in the world that can affect a cultivator's cultivation, but I've never heard of this poison. Could it be that none of the seniors have found a way to resolve this in the past thousands of years? Li Feiyu asked. Resolve it? Aunt Jo smiled bitterly. Young Master Li, this kind of red mist is the key to the Mei family's appraisal divine art. It is necessary to inhale a large amount of this poison in order for the members of the Mei family to be able to cultivate the divine art of identification. The ancestors speculated that the members of the Mei family were all women in the past, which should be related to this poison. This buy-in. The world is vast, and there are simply too many wondrous items. It's really impossible to tell if this Shoyuan is good or bad. Mei Dong, your parents sank into the river here, Aunt Zhou said, pointing to a cliff. Mother, father. Mei Dong cried and knelt down. As she wailed, she only felt the sky turn dark. She fell directly onto the cliff and fainted. Mo Huayuan bent down to check and said, "She's fine. She's just too emotional and fainted." No one would be able to hold back their grief after encountering such an incident, Li Feiyu sighed. Yunxiao also sighed and asked Aunt Zhou, "Can I go down and try this wooding river?" What? Young Master Yun, you're going down? You're not afraid, Aunt Zhou was stunned. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid that you'll only have girls in the future? Yunxiao smiled. Of course, this is also a concern, Aunt Zhou said, blushing. So be it. Yunxiao laughed. I like it. He glanced at Li Feiyu and asked, "Is young Master Li interested in going down and giving it a try?" Where are Xiaochuan and Huayuan? The three men's faces turned slightly pale as they hurriedly shook their heads and stepped back. Little Xuanzi also took a step back, fearing that Yunxiao would pull him down with him. They were all disciples of great aristocratic families, and carrying on the family line was a very important matter. If they could only have girls, they would probably be killed by the elders of their families. Young Master Yun, I don't think you should go down either. I don't think there's anything to see. Mo Xiaochuan said awkwardly. He didn't want his master to have no children either. It's fine. You guys wait for me here. Yunxiao turned and jumped into the river. Under the horrified eyes of the crowd, he soon disappeared. Mo Xiaochuan's face was slightly white as he said, "Ninth aunt, is there any danger down there?" Aunt Zhou shook her head and said, "The structure of the spiritual qi here has been analyzed by our ancestors countless times. There's nothing else other than Xiaopei. However, there's an extremely powerful poison of dusk at a depth of 500 meters. Even I don't dare to dive too deep. Once that thing accumulates to a certain extent, it will produce an extremely strong corrosive effect that the body can't withstand." Mo Xiaochuan did not reply. Instead, he sat down cross-legged on the cliff and began to wait. As soon as Yunxiao fell into the river, he immediately felt a cold and indescribably comfortable feeling. This river water was basically formed from spiritual energy and was injected into the body. The demonic dragon's voice was heard, "Could it be that you want to cultivate here and break through to the martial emperor realm? You don't even want to carry on the family line for the sake of your realm? It's just a mere poison. What can it do to me?" Yunxiao exercised the tyrant body tempering technique, and a layer of golden light immediately emerged around him, isolating him from the river and causing him to sink deeper and deeper. How are you going to cultivate by separating the spiritual liquid like this? The demonic dragon asked in confusion. Yunxiao's eyes flickered as he snorted and said, "Who said I'm going to cultivate? I was planning to make a trip back to Yanwu, but it looks like I don't need to." The demonic dragon was shocked. "Could it be that you want to escape?" A beam of light shot out of Yunxiao's forehead, and the divine realm tablet grew to the size of half a man, sinking side by side with him. Yes, the spirit qi here is even more terrifying than that in Yanwu. Although it's poisonous, it's enough for me to repair this steel. After it's repaired and all of the spiritual qi inside the steel is expelled, there shouldn't be any Xiaopi remnants left behind. Yunxiao said thoughtfully. "TSK, I thought you weren't afraid of having a girl." The demonic dragon said in disdain. "It's none of your business whether I give birth to a boy or a girl," Yunxiao snorted coldly. "If you keep talking nonsense, I'll throw you out and trap you in this indefinite river." "You can try." The dragon's face flickered. With Yunxiao's character, he might really do it. Anger appeared on his face, but he did not dare to say a word. Yunxiao and the divine realm tablet had become one, and a vacuum was formed around them as he kept sending divine incantations into the tablet. Patterns of light emerged on the divine realm tablet, flashing one by one, with flowing lights revolving inside. Yunxiao turned into a beam of light and shot directly into the divine realm tablet. The divine incantation characters appeared in the space inside the tablet, emitting a powerful rhythm and flickering rule power, making it impossible for anyone to grasp them.
Ha!
Yunxiao cried out as he pointed his fingers in the air. With each point, he left behind afterimages and illusionary lights. Soon, a golden circular array was formed in front of him and spread out toward the boundless space. At this moment, in the indefinite river, with the divine realm tablet as the center, a whirlpool began to form. A large amount of spiritual qi in liquid form spun directly and poured into the tablet. The light from the divine realm tablet became more and more brilliant, forming a peaceful glow around the whirlpool. On the cliff, Mo Xiaochuan, who had been sitting with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes. He looked down in shock, as if he wanted to see through it, but he could not. Ninth aunt, is there really no danger in the Wooding River? Mo Xiaochuan couldn't help but ask again. For thousands of years, I've never heard of any danger, Aunt Zhou said with a slight frown. However, you must not sink below 500 meters. Otherwise, the poison will be so strong that it will be difficult for powerhouses below the martial supreme realm to withstand it. 500 meters, huh? Mo Xiaochuan looked down. His divine sense was greatly disturbed in the Wooding River. He could see 500 meters ahead, but he could not see Yunxiao. However, the river was vast and boundless, and he did not know if Yunxiao had hidden somewhere else. He could not help but feel a little irritated. Big brother, don't worry. Young Master Yun will be fine. This kid is too mysterious, and you should know his ability better than me, so you should be more confident. Mo Huayuan consoled. But this kid? Shut up. Mo Xiaochuan's face darkened. If you dare disrespect young Master Yun again, you'll have to scram back to the holy region. Mo Huayuan was taken aback, and then he smiled wryly. He was baffled by his elder brother's respect for Yunxiao, which came from the bottom of his heart. Saint level? Aunt Zhou and Li Feiyu were both shocked. Li Feiyu said, could this lord be from the sanctuary? I can't be considered someone from the sanctuary, Mo Huayuan replied indifferently. I'm just cultivating in the sanctuary with my master. Who is your master? Li Feiyu asked. My master's name is Yuan Gaohan, Mo Huayuan answered after a slight hesitation. Li Feiyu's heart skipped a beat as he asked in shock, Lord Yuan Gaohan, who is in charge of the spiritual department of the Holy Region? Mo Huayuan nodded slightly. This buy-in. Li Feiyu and Aunt Zhou were both shocked. One of the people following Yunxiao was the disciple of the chief of the sacred division, while the other was a powerful martial emperor. Who the hell was this Li Yunxiao? The two of them felt waves in their hearts, and it was difficult for them to calm down. In the Divine Realm tablet, Yuan Gaohan, who was meditating, suddenly opened his eyes and said in surprise, What is Li Yunxiao doing with such a fluctuation of spirit qi? He flew up and left a sentence, take good care of the divine fire on this purple cauldron. He turned into a ray of starlight and shot into the distance. Sheng hurriedly sat in front of the purple cauldron and paid full attention to the golden light on the cauldron, for fear that something would change. At the same time, the people who were meditating at the foot of Mount Inch also sensed something and flew over. The demonic dragon had already manifested and was hovering around Yunxiao, watching the spirit qi pouring in from all directions while lying dormant in the air. Li Yunxiao, you're trying to repair the Divine Realm tablet. Yuan Gaohan was the first to see the scene in front of him. It was as if the sky had collapsed and a flood had flooded the earth, turning the surroundings into a vast ocean. The refinement and repair of ordinary 1st to 9th tier profound artifacts all required the use of cauldrons, but this saint artifact's repair actually directly drew in the sea of spiritual energy, refining the heaven and earth. This was the second time Yunxiao had done this. The first time, the Divine Realm tablet was intact, so it was obviously not as difficult as now. Old Yuan, help me control the Shangqing spirit gathering array. Let's go. Yunxiao cried out, and the golden array in front of him turned in the air and fell toward Yuan Gaohan. Yuan Gaohan was shocked and did not dare to be careless. He hurriedly circulated his soul power to receive the light of the formation and carefully revolved it in front of him. It was this Sheng spirit gathering formation that sucked in the sea of spiritual energy. Yunxiao stretched out his long finger and drew strange symbols in the air, while a wisp of red light flowed along his fingertip. Soon, the shadow of a phoenix was drawn out by him and danced in the sky. The surrounding space began to change under Yunxiao's will. As they traveled 1,000 miles, the phoenix let out a long cry in the sky and flew down to the ground, instantly igniting all the spirit chi below and turning it into a sea of fire. An ancient territory array emerged from the ground, shining with a red flame that illuminated the entire sky. Yuan Gaohan swallowed his saliva, unable to contain his excitement, constantly muttering to himself. The ancient realm-verse formation opened up the earth, water, fire, and wind. I can't believe I'm able to witness such a grand sight in my lifetime. My life has not been in vain. With a calm look on his face, Yunxiao changed the seal in his hand. Slowly, he held up a small piece of breathing earth in his palm, which shone with the light of earth essence. With a flip of his palm, he slapped it down, and the space flickered and changed again, revealing a barren land. Power of the earth territory, open. Wind territory power, activate. Under his control, the entire divine realm tablet began to shake. The three forces of territory appeared in red, yellow, and gray, faintly appearing in the sky. A large amount of water of spiritual energy that poured in began to be absorbed by the three forces, and they continued to grow. The spiritual chi that he was afraid of overflowing was actually completely empty all of a sudden. It was crazily devouring in the Wooding River, and he actually felt that it was not enough. Yuan Gohan's expression changed drastically. The Sheng spirit gathering array that he was in charge of seemed to be on the verge of collapsing under such a rate of extraction. He gritted his teeth, no longer caring about his own safety, and poured all his strength into it. If this spirit gathering array was destroyed, the supply of spirit chi would be cut off, and the plan to reopen the three territories would fail completely. He was an alchemist first, and then the secretary of the sanctum. He could not allow such a rare failure in his life, or he would regret it for the rest of his life. Even if you die, you must hold on. Yuan Gaohan roared, and the power of starlight on his body began to dissipate. In the turbulent divine realm tablet, he seemed to be in danger. However, the Sheng spirit gathering formation also started to stabilize under his efforts. Spiritual chi was continuously absorbed into the three territories and gradually expanded. The hundreds of golden tadpole-like characters of the great realm divine technique dissipated in the air, turning into beams of light that shot out in all directions. Every beam of light that pierced through the sky was like a law that had been driven into the world, shocking Yunxiao. These powers, these rules, are they the components of the power of heaven and earth that constructed the divine realm tablet? Every time a character turned into a light and scattered in the air, his heart would be shocked once. It was as if there was a rule attached to him, and his understanding and comprehension of the divine realm tablet kept improving. The demonic dragon was also shocked by the magnificent scenery in front of him. There's such a spectacular sight just by repairing the damage. Who created this divine realm tablet in the past? What kind of world-opening creation was it? As time passed, the supply of spirit chi began to slowly keep up with the consumption. Yuan Gaohan heaved a heavy sigh of relief, but his whole body had become unstable, as if it would disappear at any time. He wanted to ask Gu Yuesheng to help him for a while, but he was still worried. He took out a starlight stone and absorbed the energy while barely holding on. After the hundreds of characters of the great realm divine technique disappeared in the sky, Yunxiao closed his eyes and began to sit cross-legged in the air. He put his left hand above his dantian and raised his right hand to form an incantation gesture, as if he had entered a wonderful state. With the opening of the three major territories, the divine realm tablet's restoration began to operate on its own. As long as there was enough spirit chi, it was only a matter of time before it was restored. After an unknown period of time, Yunxiao suddenly opened his eyes, and his aura was completely different. He put down his right hand and let out a light breath. A ray of light appeared on his body and spread out with his body as the center. The dragon, who had been lying dormant in the sky, opened its eyes and looked at Yunxiao. I thought you'd comprehended some profound technique, but you've only broken through to the martial emperor realm. How disappointing. take a look at the spiritual energy in the sky. It seems that the poison of the Dusk Phoenix is getting stronger and stronger. Humph, just a martial emperor? Yunxiao snorted lightly as he felt the power surging in his body. Not only had he broken through to the martial emperor realm, but more importantly, his understanding of the divine realm tablet had deepened, especially the power of the laws of heaven and earth contained in the golden tadpole-like characters, which had made him take a qualitative leap. His figure flickered and appeared beside Yuan Gaohan. He helped him down and said, "Old Yuan, you've worked hard." He drew a symbol in the air with his long finger, and Yuan Gohan's weak body was wrapped in a light and sent directly into a formation in Mount Inch. The formation was surrounded by starlight stones, which were also the place where Yuan Gaohan usually absorbed star power to cultivate. Yuan Gaohan had long been completely unaware of it and was on the verge of death. The moment he entered the formation, the surrounding starlight stones were instantly drawn out by the formation's power and poured into his body. After doing all that, Yunxiao appeared in the air in the next moment. With a wave of his hand, 3 streams of territory power dissipated in the air and sank into the ground. A water ball slowly condensed in front of him, exuding wisps of spirit qi. Yunxiao put his finger into it and felt it. A moment later, his finger turned golden, and a layer of faint powder appeared on it. Yes, it's indeed much more poisonous than before, but the spiritual energy is also more abundant. This item was able to prevent the Mei family from producing a top-notch expert for so many years, but it also contained the power of appraisal. However, it's indeed very corrosive. Even my initial stage inextinguishable golden body is starting to be corroded. He looked at his fingertips and gently blew out a breath, blowing away the fine powder. He muttered, "It seems that it will take some time to repair the Divine Realm tablet, but if it's filled with this poison, I'm afraid it'll be difficult to remove it completely. Why don't we forget about it? I'll slowly repair it after I return to Yanwu." After making up his mind, Yunxiao waved his hand, and the Shangqing spirit gathering array disappeared immediately. The spirit qi between heaven and earth that had been liquefied like a flood began to slowly stop flowing in. He began to send a voice transmission to the few people in the Divine Realm tablet about the poison in the spirit qi. Duanyu kept yelling and cursing, and the others were also shocked. They isolated themselves from the spirit qi in the outside world and had been cultivating with primordial stones for a long time. Boom. Suddenly, the entire space shook, as if the Divine Realm tablet had hit something outside. Yunxiao's pupils constricted. In a flash, he appeared outside Universe God North and pushed away the water pressure around him, only to find that the pressure was so unimaginably great that he could not even open the vacuum with his strength as a martial emperor. Helplessly, he could only activate his imperishable golden body to prevent the poison from entering his body. In the future, it didn't matter if they had a boy or a girl. If they couldn't enter the peak of martial Dao after being poisoned, then they would really cry without tears. This is a Kasaya. He was shocked by the scene in front of him. It turned out that the Divine Realm tablet was sinking continuously in the indefinite river and had already sunk to the bottom of the river. It collided with a huge stone tablet, which caused the previous vibration. The stone tablet was not an ordinary object either. After the collision, flowing spots flickered on it, as if there was a restriction. Yunxiao put the Divine Realm tablet back into his glabella, and at the same time, he shot out a stream of astral wind, which flowed closely on his skin. His initial state of the indestructible golden body could no longer withstand the corrosion of the poison at the bottom of the river, and his golden color had long faded. Only when the astral wind rose did he feel slightly more relaxed. Yunxiao walked up and stared at the stone tablet, on which 4 big words were flashing. The winding river led to ethereal opening. What's the meaning of this? Yunxiao looked around the stele for a long time, but he did not find anything strange. I don't know what the winding road to secrecy means, but this stone tablet is a rare and precious material. It seems to be made of the legendary material, the Kasaya. He muttered to himself for a moment, then made up his mind and said, "Dig it out first."